Hey there. Go ahead and grab a chair. A cold one, sit back, and relax. This is the Fireside Chat-Off.
Welcome in, boys. Have you got your drink? You sitting beside the fire? You ready to have a little discussion?
For sure.
So today we have myself, Wildcat Dad 17.
Dinho?
And I'm Matthewbraeker.
Did you forget your name for a minute?
No, because I'm like, wait, what are we doing?
We're starting the chat talk, man. Come on. So this week's Fireside Chat Talk comes from us from Reyes683. It is an article titled Pokemon Go's is God, the title of the article is actually really bad when I look at it.
No.
Pokemon Go's Niantic is listening to the wrong voices in its own company. So this article discusses quite a few things, but in the end, this kind of stemmed from one of the things that we discussed on the show this week, which was without notice, Niantic raised the price of the bundle of 3 remote raid prices.
Mm-hmm.
It mentions here that, YouTubers or Niantic actually kind of threw YouTubers under the bus for some reason. I don't know why. As far as the way the April Community Day was executed, I don't know exactly fully what they're referring to. Matthew, do you know what that they're actually talking about with them throwing the YouTubers under the bus?
I think a lot of this, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it the communication of the extra
The 3 hour,
the
maybe?
no, not the 3 hours. From my understanding was the event add-ons when YouTubers were introducing GoFest
Okay,
and were
so
given all that
why would they say that?
information.
Okay, so it's just a misinformation. Okay, the sentence is worded poorly. I'll be honest, this is not the best written article as far as English goes. But it does point out. So yeah, if they're talking about Niantic throwing YouTubers under the bus, this is referring to, I think, both Nick and I think JT Gilly as well put out videos about GoFest, and they were not given the additional add-on information. We had a fireside chat talked about this a few weeks ago, and you guys know my opinion. Absolute bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Trainer
not okay.
Tips brought on their new like community manager Kelsey on and released a video with them where they apologized for that misunderstanding, lack of communication. Again, promised that they're doing better. We talked about this on a fireside chat app where they were talking about the uh lists of ways that you can communicate with Niantic that are like the appropriate routes. And after people are doing that, um Niantic as a company is still doing the same things, which is they're not communicating these changes to the player base or to their community or even to their content creators that are a part of the program and get this information in advance.
Yeah, Dinho, I know you typically stay pretty quiet on these, so I'm going to make you talk tonight. This is how it's going to work here. Do you think the way Niantic is treating their quote unquote partners in content creation and not giving them the full story. Is that on Niantic, or is that on the creators for not poking for more information?
Oh no, it's 100% on Niantic. I feel like I see this just because I see it kind of like a job, and like me at my job, I'm a supervisor, and I kind of see them like being partnered up with the YouTubers. It's kind of like them being supervisors for us. And if they don't get information to them, then how are they going to get information out to the people? So it's kind of like saying, like, if I don't get any information from my bosses to me, how am I gonna get it to my coworkers that are working in my department? Um,
Yeah.
so it's definitely on them. Like, there's no other way to go about it. Like, sure, maybe you could have asked, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they did ask. I don't know.
Who would have even thought to
How do
ask
you
on
like?
something
How do
like
you
that?
ask something that you don't know that you have to ask? Like, it's kind of like that simple.
Yeah. So the next part of this article here, they kind of, and I'll read what they are saying here, and then we can talk about it. So the company's promotion of a recently held Spain event is low on COVID precautions or protections, in spite of reports of influencers picking up the virus from the event, and COVID in Niantic's own hometown is surging. Okay, I take offense to this line of the article. No one corporately and company wise anymore is doing any real COVID mandations out there.
Mhm.
So to try to put it on Niantic like they need to make something else happen that other organizations aren't doing is asinine, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Dinho, what do you think
No,
here?
I agree, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know about like other places. I asked this to some of my friends recently in different states and how things are with COVID. And at least I know in California and New York, things like people are forgetting about COVID basically. Um,
And one of the things that really bugs me even more, they link picking up the virus from events um to a video by Nick where Nick
oh
got COVID.
yes.
But first off, this was not in Spain that he said he got COVID. This was before he went to Spain. Secondly, this was following the New York meet and greet for Community Day for Stuffle. Thirdly, Nick openly admits he knows in the video where he got COVID, and it was when he returned home having dinner with family or friends or something of that nature. I don't remember the exact thing. So that really bugs me about the article. Matthew, anything to add there?
No, I think a lot of it is like lost context with it. There's, you know, it's easy to hear the story, kind of forget some of the details, and then write a synopsis or make connections that aren't necessarily there. Um, which I feel like this kind of did with stretching things about COVID. Not to say that that's not something that, happened, but especially like with Nick, it's like, no, like there's a lot of context that was lost in that whole conversation that I feel the person writing this
And Nick was
article
very
could.
upfront about his
Right.
experience with getting COVID. Like he
Hmm.
he was straight up upfront about it. It wasn't like he was trying to blame. He openly said, "I don't blame Niantic. I didn't get this because of things I did with this
Right.
company." And
I also
let's
feel like it's putting a lot of the too much of the responsibility on Niantic when it really has to do with people's like personal responsibility going to these live events. That's like, look, Niantic cannot logistically keep track of all the numbers and cases everywhere. They're going by what the government has stated. It is still up to you whether or not you choose to attend these events. And there's no judgment either way, but just know that there are risks going out, and there's still risks going out, in public. You as the consumer get to choose what your level of exposure and risk is going to be playing at these events. Um that's my spiel on it.
yeah. So the next part of this talks about how Niantic is got smart employees. Kelsey's a great example here.
Mhm.
but bad decision makers. On the surface, I think that's a fair point to make. They do go into something that I don't think has anything to do with their point they're trying to make. So they talk about the fact that Niantic is stalking you and how they sell your data here. And to be frankly honest, if you don't realize a free app that you're downloading and playing on your phone is taking your data and selling it elsewhere, you don't read the terms of service. Now, I will say, Niantic does not sell individualized player data. They sell trends and bulk data for areas. Guess who else does that? Google, Facebook,
Every
Twitter.
single social media app.
Every app on your phone is tracking your data. I don't think that's a poor decision maker thing. That's how companies that do free applications make their money on the application. If you're not paying for a application, you're actually the product. It's just the way it works. Trying to get to where it's actually talks a little bit more about some actual information here.
I think one of the interesting things in this article is it's talking about how Niantic is sort of like shooting themselves in their own foot by launching a IP that is similar to Pokemon Go with their new game that came out. And the article sort of like ends on, like, are they sinking the ship unconsciously, with it? And to that I would say, yeah, I think it's commendable that they're trying to like create their own game, but you cannot compete with Pokemon at all. So
It's the
anything they do,
IP. It's
right,
not. Yeah, it's the IP that drives the success of Pokemon Go.
right,
They thought Harry Potter was not had that same oomph, but we all know it. Harry Potter doesn't carry the same name recognition as Pokemon.
right.
Harry Potter's incredibly popular. Even if Astro doesn't like Harry Potter, if you don't believe me, go listen to a
But
previous
Harry
episode where he says
Potter
he hates
has
Harry
never
Potter.
been a successful video game. And I think that's where the
Exactly.
IP failed is Pokemon has proven for over 20 years it is a successful multi-platform product. Harry Potter, movies and books and merchandise.
That's it.
Never a game.
Rides in
That's
Orlando.
Right. And they're amazing.
Yeah,
they're dope.
they're good.
But it's never been a popular game. So I'm not surprised that Wizards Unite failed. I will not be surprised when their new game Peridot fails. It's not gonna get the same play as Pokemon Go. And I don't think that there is another IP that can match Pokemon Go. I think this game is perfectly designed for it.
Hello Kitty Go.
Oh god.
Get out of here.
You know why I say that though, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Because
It's
it's the
the highest
second.
grossing.
It's outside of Pokemon. It's the next
Yeah.
highest grossing in all of the time.
I
Dinho
still
seems
don't.
he's shocked by that. I don't think he knew
Yeah,
that.
but
No.
it's not been a successful video game.
I was gonna say it's not
It's
a
just
video
been
game.
it's just been successful merchandise.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
So
it.
It wouldn't be good.
And media. It has
And
a
media,
really
and
huge
media.
footprint.
But
as well.
it's another Harry Potter. It's never been a successful game.
Yep.
So I want to leave this article behind now because
Mhm.
the article is poorly written and it is inflammatory. But I want to take the article's topic.
Mhm.
Do you believe Niantic is listening to the wrong voices inside of its company? Dinho.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we can see that just based off all of the decisions that are being made. I mean, you're not, if you had the right voices, you would have been like communicate with your community or the players and let them know this ahead of time. Like I feel like that's common sense. I mean that's just me, but at least with like my department, like at work, I like to give them a heads up. Like even if it's like a week out, and this is just work, but like or even a month. Like I'm telling you like this now, this is gonna happen, and just want you to be prepared for it. So I definitely think that I'm sure they have smart employees, but maybe the decisions they're making, it just benefits them and creates maybe bad decisions. Uh, what about you, Matthew? What do
Yeah,
you think?
I think this company is going down the same path that I see a lot of really popular companies that have failed, and they are changing the dynamic of their game or product if you're a business in ways that do not benefit the consumer.
And in
And
the end, they don't benefit themselves directly in
right,
all reality.
right. But any change that they're going to make that doesn't leave their player base happy or provide them a good compromise, I don't believe is going to have a net positive impact regardless of what that change is. For example, like they could, give you 150 Poke coins a day that you could have access to, um, and then just completely take away remote raid passes, and people are really going to just be like, "But what about this?" I I feel like they constantly try to make changes and then fix them either preemptively with like, "Oh, we're going to give you this box of new stuff, but we're taking away your remote raid pass." I'm not
Yeah, so
phrasing that right at all.
I get what you're saying. So I think I wouldn't say that they're listening to the quote unquote wrong voices. I think they are over prioritizing their values and over enforcing those on their player base. It's not that they're listening to any individual internal voice. It is not John Hankey saying this is the way it's going to happen and that's it. That's not how they have a set of company values that they believe by, and they're not realizing that their player base doesn't all have the capability or the want to play everything that exact way. And especially, it's an old adage: once you take the genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back. It's out. They've showed players that they can make this game accessible. They can make this game fun for everyone. And now to start trying to take that stuff back in the name of our values, it rubs really bad. And then just come out and not, you know, Kelsey, they are trying to do an awesome job as far as getting the accessibility out there. Even in the most recent announcement from Niantic around rating, they actually alluded to, we know we have an issue with accessibility at gyms and we're looking at ways to fix that. That's the first time they've ever said that. But you've got to do more than just say, well, because we have this value, we want to take it away. You have to, that isn't an acceptable answer anymore. You have to start to look at as a company and say, how can we encourage people to play via our values without punishing the people that don't want to play that way? Because financially, that's what's going to make them the most sense for them and make them the most success long term. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of like the the thing that really like pops out when like I'm reading this article is sort of like Amazon's business model, where I see like 30 years ago is kind of like where Niantic is sort of like stuck in their core values of exploration, getting out there, and the community, or in Amazon's case, like the world, is trying to move into like, we want to have convenience, we want to have our stuff shipped to us. So Amazon shifts or creates this business model where they get to ship books to individuals. They no longer have to go into the stores to buy them. And what ends up happening is Amazon becomes a huge corporation and local business stores that are still stuck on, no, we don't want to ship our books to customers. We want them to come into our stores to pick them out, are closing down. And I see Niantic in this model of the consumer base is wanting convenience and they're stuck in their ways of their core values and not willing to adapt them in the way that the majority of the consumers want, and the consumers are going to leave or go to another game or entity that provides them the experience that they do want over this game.
That's fair. Dinho, anything else here to add?
Uh, no. I mean, honestly, I know that you mentioned like they're not necessarily listening to like certain specific people. Like you said, like Hanky's not like just saying like, oh, it's just like my like this is gonna be that way, and then that's what is gonna happen. They obviously have like departments. It's not just one specific person. For all we know, it's not even like certain people. I know like who was that person that was just in the Nick's video? I forget.
Kelsey.
Yeah. So her, like, I know that some people were like kind of like talking back in regards to what she said, and they're saying like, oh, she's not following through with maybe like some of the things she said. So um they just keep saying all these things, and I don't know if like it's true or not, if it's on them or not. If they're causing, is it like one specific person that's causing all these wrong decisions that are happening? But I kind of want to say it's like a bunch of people instead of just like like particularly just like one or two people in their company. But hopefully, I mean, things change. I don't know.
And let's be frankly honest, corporate structures and corporate what's the way I should say? Corporate values are hard to change and they take time. I will say, just in the fact that they're not going to remove remote raiding entirely, that is a huge departure from their corporate values. So it's only been 2 years, y'all. The game's only been out for going on 6 years. So a third of the time the game has been out, they've been adapting to this new
You're seeing
world
that too,
situation.
Okay, yeah, we just completely lost. I think. Oh, he's back.
Oh, I hope what I said recorded.
Repeat it. Just I'll cut to it.
Okay. So what I was saying is we have to keep in mind too that company values and corporate structures like this are hard to change. And Niantic has actually changed already in just the fact that they're keeping remote raid passes. That is a huge departure from their get out and explore mentality. So we also have to look at the overall life of this game. It's only been 5.5, going to be 6 years in July. They spent the last 2 of that adapting to very quickly changing world events. So I understand that, deep down they want to get the game here. It may take them a little more time to realize the game is in a better place without forcing all these different things. And I do use specifically the word forcing because the changes they made, especially around incense, was a forced move to force you to play the game the way they want you to. I also understand what they're talking about as far as game balance, because there is balance as well as way you want to play. Having someone be able to sit on their couch and get everything they need from a collection challenge, it does hurt game balance overall.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say it does. But at the same time, forcing me to walk at 3.8 miles an hour, which is much higher than my normal walk speed to get the effective incense, is also not good game balance. So it's about working to find that internally. And that's where we need to work with Kelsey and send feedback into that form. Is the answer, give us back our old incense, and that's just what you're going to yell into ether? If that's what you think, go for it. But you're not going to change anything. If you say, I don't like the new incense because of these reasons, but you could compromise with us at these points instead of being 3.8 miles an hour, give me a spawn every 90 seconds or every, let's say, 60 seconds. Or if I'm moving at 2.5 miles an hour, closer to a normal walking speed, I get a spawn every 40 seconds. Now I'm still making it more effective for moving, but I'm also still not getting completely killed for my $1.50 or whatever it is I spent for an incense. Those are the things that it does take time for companies to come around to, and you just have to keep giving that feedback. So we've kind of veered off from the actual article, but I think that's the point of Chat Talk sometimes, is we take the concept of what's being given to us and we really discuss the overall impact on it. Anything else to add, Matthew?
I would say just my concluding thoughts on this is it boils down to the old saying that we've had for a long time, where it's we as a community desperately just want transparency from Niantic on their thoughts and changes within the company. I think it's a good thing that they brought Kelsey in. I think they are a much needed breath of fresh air. I would like some communication as to how these changes go about being implemented, and maybe a little more information as to what Niantic looks at when they're hearing these communications about changes the player base wants, and how they prioritize those changes. I think, to get to the arguments or the article's point, is their PR company is dropping the ball big time. They promised us communication. They doubled and tripled down, saying that they will do better. We're making these changes. We promise we'll do better. And they continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. That being said, we still need to give them a little more time to prove to us that they are changing. They've been doing some good changes. They haven't communicated all the information in a timely manner, but we got to give them credit that they have done some things that have benefited the player community. That being said, they could always do more to communicate better, to provide information timely, to make that information actually clear and concise to people. Um, when I'm saying that last point has to do with Mega Evolution. In their original post, they had a 18-second video just saying Mega Evolution is changing. Stay tuned for this exciting thing. In that same post, if you scroll down, there's a second video that's like 2.5 minutes long that actually goes in depth explaining that. People aren't scrolling down to read the article when the first video that pops up there is the short and sweet thing. People aren't programmed that way. So for Niantic to sort of hide behind this, well, we have all the information posted right there. It's like, no, like, you know how consumers consume information. If it's not in their face within the first 5 seconds, they're going to tune out. They're going to switch to a different screen or a different article and move. For those that watch the video, my wall is falling down behind.
Yeah, I was like gonna say something.
That's a good break point here, anyways,
Yeah,
to let
yeah.
Dinho give his final thoughts here.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of things that you guys are mentioning with this, and these are the type of things that won't happen overnight, and that's something that was in that video that Kelsey mentioned. That this is gonna be something that's gonna take a while to fix, and I get it. I'm not one to also like be on top of these things as well, and like you mentioned, like these videos are just like if you scroll down is where you find it, and a lot of people don't go there. And I mean, personally, I didn't do that either, so that's from experience. So that's my only few things and final thoughts is just that it will take some time, and I feel like, at least for me, I'm patient, so I can't tell everybody to be patient, but also just hopefully that they get better at communicating with us.
Well, I think that's a good point to wrap up this fireside chat talk tonight. So that's all. I do thank you for joining us tonight for our fireside chat talk. I am Wildcat Dad 17.
I am Dinho.
And I'm Matthew Braeker.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the Fireside Chatot, and until next time, good luck and get good.